much for joining me, Bethany. I wanted to get your feedback on the Pickleball Innovators Summit from a sponsor perspective, because last year was the first year that we had done this event, and it's a unique event in the industry. We're really excited to have Court Reserve back in 2026. I guess to start, do you mind just quickly sharing about your role at Court Reserve?
Yeah, so I've been with Court Reserve for almost 5 years. I am a sales manager currently here at Court Reserve. I actually started almost 5 years ago in support. So I really learned the software, and then I transitioned over to the sales team when there was only one other person in sales and just dipped my feet in different areas within Court Reserve, onboarding, account management, support, and now back in my home here in sales. So happy to be here. It's the best company ever.
Wonderful. Yeah, so we're so excited to be partners with you all. And as I mentioned, partners at the summit. So I guess to start, do you mind sharing about your experience last year? Maybe to start with what your perceptions were going in and maybe how the reality was once you actually got on site.
Yes, absolutely. So I would say the pre-conference items that we got from you guys was absolutely incredible. Like, we were very prepped before we even got there. We had a pre-conference Zoom meeting, which not a lot of events, conferences do that. So that was really helpful for us as vendors to make sure that we had everything that we need, all of our questions answered. So that was really helpful. We also got an attendee list, and we got a packet with faces of the attendees, which was incredible for us as vendors to know who we were going to be talking with. And then, yeah, I would say when we got there, the first night was awesome with the networking. We went straight into a cocktail hour and then into a dinner. And I love the assigned seat option. Usually I'm like, why are we doing assigned seats? But I loved that because you guys were very specific with who you had at each table. And so at my table was actually a mix of customers, prospects, as well as I think there was one other vendor at my table as well. I thought you guys did a really great job of splitting things up for sure.
Awesome. Great to hear. What initially made you decide to sponsor and attend the event in the first place?
Ooh, good question. Yeah, I would say pickleball is our main market, right? These are the type of people that we want to work with, right? This is our bread and butter is pickleball facilities, and being a software, right, we want to help pickleball businesses with their day-to-day business. So being at an event like this with not only customers, right, being able to connect face-to-face with customers is really important because Court Reserve, we're fully remote. Having that face-to-face with customers is really valuable for us because you can't really do that anywhere else. You can do Zoom, but it's just not the same. Being in person, I think, is really, we knew customers were going to be there. We had Will Richards from Bill Dinkers, right? We had Ted Angelo from The Hub. We had Mitch Dunn from Pickle Lodge, like really great connections. And I had actually never met Mitch until this event and got to play pickleball with them. What industry do you get to do business and be on the pickleball court at the same time? I thought that was huge with the networking piece was you guys actually placing the pickleball events into the event as well. So that way vendors could actually blend in with the attendees at these pickleball events.
We know even if you're just a vendor in the pickleball industry or operate a club, most people in the industry want to play pickleball. They love it so much.
Exactly. Yeah, you know it, Rachel.
What stood out to you right away about the format or structure of the summit compared to other industry events?
Yeah, so I would say the planning, number one, was the main thing. But I would also say it was the right size crowd. I thought that I got really good quality time with every single person in that room. And this was one of the conferences and events where I could genuinely come back to my team and say, I spoke to every single person in that room, and some of them multiple times, most of them multiple times. And you can't say that a lot about events that you go to in this industry. I've been to many events over the last 4 years, and this I could say is probably one of the best ones I've ever been to, for sure, hands down.
Awesome. As you just hit on, the summit is intentionally designed around small group interactions, peer conversations, and making sure that you can talk to as many people as possible. How did that impact your ability to connect with operators? And like maybe specifically, are there customers that you now have as a result of that event?
Yeah,
How's
absolutely.
the follow-up been?
Yeah, follow-up's been great. We obviously did some pre-planning prior, right? And then continue to build those connections. Software, it's not a snap of your fingers. It's definitely like an ongoing conversation that we have to have, but we are in talks and still with some of the organizations that we met at the conference.
And then how would you describe the overall feel of the event, the environment, the people in the room, the overall vibe?
Personable. That would be like the one thing that really stood out is just, again, the connection piece behind this event of just it being so personable, right? Where you feel like you're really in touch with every single person in the room. I love how you guys actually incorporated the vendors into participating into the roundtables. I thought that was a very valuable time for me, just not only speaking from Court Reserve, but also like hearing other pickleball owners, right, and managers. The business day to day is what I need to know as a sales manager, so I can take that to my team, and that way they can understand, okay, these are actually business people in the business for people that we are selling Court Reserve to. Like understanding how businesses work and continuing to just soak that in is super valuable for sure.
Yeah, I think that's an important point because how we try to approach the events is treating the sponsors and attendees as equitable. We don't put sponsors into a corner and are like, oh, you just stay over there and hope people walk by your booth. We understand that they have really valuable insights that they can share with the operators and attendees in attendance. And so we want to incorporate them into the event in full, whether it's the networking activities or the roundtable specifically.
Yes. Another point was the demo times that you guys had scratched out was also huge. You guys just really took care of us. But the demo times where you guys had on the screen, these people are at this specific booth. And then after, I think it was like 7 minutes or so, They switched to the next vendor booth. I thought that was awesome. You don't see that at a lot of trade shows either, where you're actually, it's usually demo time or vendor time, but it's not specific like that, right? Where we have those very valuable conversations and we can build connections right off the bat by having that quick 7-minute intro to 1 to 3 people at a time. So that was very impactful for us, for sure.
I'm glad to hear that you felt taken care of. Really
Yes.
Cool. All right, just a couple more questions. In your view, why are smaller relationship-driven events like this so important in the pickleball industry in particular right now?
Great question. Yes, I think there were a lot of leaders in the room in the pickleball space. You had a lot of big names in the room. And then you also had a lot of organizations that were very new and up and coming. So I think having these types of events that are like small network events is really important. So that way those two categories can mesh together. And I think one thing that you take from these events is just getting everyone's input, right? Because in my brain, I may have something that I think is right for the pickleball business, but someone else that's doing it really successfully may be doing a completely different way. So I think just being able to have that tight-knit connection with not too many people, because if it's too many people, it's overwhelming, right? It can be overwhelming. You feel like you're not getting value conversations, and I just feel like having it in a small environment like that is really important because then you can feel like you are really talking with every single person in the room.
Lastly, this is a premier event. What advice would you give to companies considering sponsoring or attending an event like this and are questioning whether the value is really there?
It's worth it. It's worth it. And I would say the ROI of this event is just the networking because, again, you can't build the kind of trust over a Zoom call. Right? You can try your best, but like in person, being able to not only have dinners, but you're playing pickleball, you're doing business, you're at cocktail hours. Like there's so many opportunities for you to network. And I feel as a vendor to eat that fee, it's so worth it because at the end of the day, you're going to come out of this and you're going to get a return on your investment.